So yeah, today I just want to talk about this concept of intelligence, and linking it to faith, because oftentimes there's this notion that you know you cannot have faith that has logic. Faith has no logic, or as a Christian, we don't apply our logic or intelligence when we are exercising faith, or us believing is just us being blind sheep. So I just wanted to look at this concept of intelligence and see if those arguments, actually have some substance to it. Intelligence basically is the ability to learn, you know, um, which is something that separates us from other species. Human beings have this innate ability to learn. A bird hits a glass window. It thinks that the way is clear, so it hits a glass window the first time. But something in their mind does not register and keeps on hitting this glass window, thinking that what they saw is real, and thinking that something will be different about this. But their mind has not learned, or adjusted to the fact that, no, this is an obstacle. This is not a way through. Whereas in us as human beings, we've got this innate ability that when we walk into a glass window, we learn that this is not the way, this is not the way. And so we don't walk a second time, we look for another way because our minds have learned, through this experience. So intelligence is basically the ability to learn, but not just the ability to learn, but to also apply, what you learn. Your exposure to something and your ability to learn without application, is useless. That cannot be intelligence. So the fact that you've seen that this is a glass window, and the fact that you don't walk towards it again, that's you applying what you have learned. I don't know if that makes sense, but here's something that is very interesting with intelligence. So what makes it even more profound, this ability to learn, is you applying what you've learned in different contexts, by you identifying certain variables in the environment or in a particular context that link to the knowledge that you've learned through a previous experience or whatever it is, and then taking that information that you've learned and applying it in a different context, but in a similar way through what you've learned. Oh, I'm so sorry. Yeah, that sounds like a lot of, Okay, so essentially, you walk through a glass window, maybe as a kid or something. You realize that, okay, I can't walk through glass windows. This is an obstacle. An animal would perhaps, maybe other animals might learn from that, okay, this is a glass window, so I'll just change, course and stuff. But if they had to come across other glass windows, they might face the same predicament whereby they walk through it again, because their mind is only programmed to apply this knowledge to that particular context, But our minds are able to take a particular learning experience and apply it in different contexts. So when you see a glass window, it's not at the same location, you're at a different place, but you see a glass window, it's a variable that was part of your previous learning experience, and you see it now because of what you've learned. You don't walk through it, because you've now learned that, okay, a glass window is an obstacle, not something that I can go through. And so you apply that knowledge, even if it's in a different context, by being able to identify the similar variables, according to the previous experience whereby you learned. Yeah. So that's intelligence. It's very beautiful, and us as human beings, we have this innate ability, but those who exercise it are those people who we identify as intelligent. So, if you don't apply what you learn, then you are just a fool, as Albert Einstein says, doing the same thing over and over again, and expecting a different outcome while the variables are not changing. That's foolishness. You can't be an intelligent person but keep doing the same thing and expecting something to give, something to be different while you're doing the same thing in the same environment, same context, and it's very foolish. So that's the opposite of intelligence. If you not being able to exercise what you learn is identified as foolishness. And then we look at the concept of faith. Now some people, and I've believed this before, will say that faith has no logic. To have faith, you must not have logic. So if I have faith, I'm not using logic. I mean, who would, I'm trying to think of an example here. Who would get out of a boat and just walk on water, knowing very well that water is something that sinks you? Like, where's the logic there? You're not applying any knowledge. Water in the middle of the ocean, you going out in the middle of the storm, you die. So why do that? This is not knowledge that you've gained, but you've just turned it off to apply this faith. And so that's foolishness. Where's the logic there? And looking at it from, I guess, top-down view, or from just far, you would think that that's a sure case. That is a very true case, that when I apply faith, there is some absence of logic there, because it will not make sense to people, And here's the thing. That's the problem. Just because it does not make sense to other people does not mean that it then is illogical. Because intelligence is not necessarily about what other people think or about what makes sense to other people. As I said, it's the ability to learn and to apply what you've learned. So looking at this definition, this is my own definition. I hope it's the right definition, Again, it's through my own learned experiences. So if I'm wrong, then this whole thing is just, it doesn't make sense. Faith is a very interesting thing, It's a very wonderful concept. But it cannot be logical. If intelligence is learning and application of knowledge in different contexts particularly, then faith also depends on our intelligence. So Peter walks on water. He ignores the other evidence, other learned experiences, but he walks on water. He says to Jesus, if it is you, then I will walk on water. Which means that Peter would not have walked on water had it been someone else. But somehow he's applying his learned experience by having been with Jesus. He knows that if it is him, then this will be possible. He had seen him calming the storm. He had seen him doing all these miracles. So through those experiences, he learned. And so his intelligence was in action here because he learned through those experiences. But here's the thing, the context was different. But because he had seen his power and he believed in his power, even though the circumstance had changed, even though the context had changed, he recognized the variable that exists, that if Jesus is there, Even if the context is different, I can be able to do what is impossible with men simply because this variable exists in this context. And so his faith was an application of his intelligence, of logic. And this logic, when you looked at this Lent experience, that water drowns, and then he looked at this experience that water is nothing to the maker of the water, then you see him applying this knowledge, which does not make sense to any other person, but to the one who has the learned experience and is applying it. It makes complete sense. It makes complete sense that if Jesus can quiet the storm, why cannot I not walk on the water? If he's walking there, then why can't I? If I place my trust in him, because he's proven himself before. So faith needs an application of intelligence. And the reason why we lack faith at times is because we don't apply the experiences, the learned experiences in our lives. The Israelites, for example, God did this for them, opened up the waters. But when they reached other waters which were bitter, they started to complain. They were forgetful because they did not apply their intelligence. They had not learned anything. That the God who can open up the waters can drown the Egyptians. That means that these waters which are bitter are nothing for him. And so faith is an application of learned experiences, of intelligence. The more you learn and apply, hectic, man. It's very hectic stuff. But it's very true. The reason why we lack faith is because we forget. It's easy for us to forget. We forget what he's done before in different contexts, in different situations. And so we forget his power. And by forgetting his power, when the situation differs, we then cry again. But no, if he's God in the mountain, on the mountain, then he's still God on the valley, in the valley. If he can quiet the storms in the New Testament, then he can quieten the storms in my life today. If he can prevent some boys from being consumed by the fires, then the fires in my life cannot consume me so long as he is with me in the fire. Because of the intelligence that we apply when exercising faith, we understand that though the situation differs, because God is still there, he's a constant variable. So different situation, but he's a constant. The situation changes, day comes, night comes, but he's there. He's there. He's the constant factor, the common denominator. And so long as he is there, even if the situation has changed, because my faith has been here, and if my faith has been placed on him before, and it's worked, that means that even if the situation changes, I'm good, because my trust is still on him, and I've seen his power, and I know that through his power he can be able to do it again. That's why it's important for us to then strengthen our faith by sharpening our intelligence. If intelligence is learning, that means we need to learn more about this God. That's why spending time with him in the word and prayer is so important for us. Just like Peter, he had seen him because he had been with him. He believed in him because he had spent time with him. And if we give ourselves that opportunity to spend time with him in his word, we'll see that, man, no, this God we serve is so powerful. And when we face tough situations, we'll recognize that this is nothing for us, man, because of who we are with. The only logical thing is for me to believe in him. So not believing in God after you've seen and learned from it is foolishness. It's stupidity at a high level. Because how can you see him work? How can you learn about him? How can you be with him, yet not believe? Yet not apply your faith when it is required? That shows a lack of the ability to learn. And so we have to spend time learning. Not just learning, but applying this knowledge, this learning, even if the situations may change, and that's through faith, through exercising our faith. Just finally, the three Hebrew boys say he's able. We've learned. This is us applying our intelligence. He's able to save us. But even if he doesn't, they recognize that sometimes it cannot happen the way we expect it to. But that is not to show that there's an absence of power in the source, in the one that we believe. No, it's just choice. Because they learned that he has all the power. And so his exercise of the power, or him refraining from using the power, is all a matter of choice. It's not absence of power. Anyways, guys, please leave your comments. Tell me what you think about this, and yeah, let's engage and stuff, and tell me what other questions you might have. Let's try to be less clueless, yeah, I'll have a segment whereby we just answer some commonly asked questions, and also maybe deliver some hot takes, from time to time. So stay tuned. Make sure that you subscribe if you haven't. Thank you so much. Peace.